Earlier you'd said, I'm assuming New York's a one-party consent state. One person can record the other one without it being illegal.
Correct.
But you also were a member of the New York Bar?
I was, yes.
How would you rate recording clients in the ethical realm of being a lawyer?
I know it's not illegal, and
I'm not asking if it's illegal. I'm asking if it's ethical.
I don't know. That
Okay.
we'd have to leave the judgment of the Bar Association.
So, well, I think every other lawyer in here knows exactly where it is in the ethical standard. When you said you had 100 tapes, were any of those tapes of other clients?
Yes.
And I think this is pretty amazing. I really do. Did any of them waive privilege?
No.
So 5 minutes ago, in the middle of our hearing on oversight, you just immediately responded that you would hand over tapes to this committee without any of your previous clients waiving privilege.
I'm not the only one in possession of those documents. Those documents are in the hands of all of the
Whoever else is in charge of those documents is not my concern. My concern is I know lawyers that would go to jail before they would violate attorney-client privilege, and in a matter of a second, you just said, absolutely, I will turn those over.
Just trying to cooperate, sir.
At the expense of clients who have never waived privilege.
They're already in the hands, sir, of all of the agencies. As was, I didn't ask people.
What law enforcement determines to do with something and what you determine to do with something, client privilege and attorney trust accounts are about the two most sacred things that you can ever do in your entire career as a lawyer. And
by the
in
way, sir,
a matter of a second,
and the tape with Mr. Trump,
completely,
the reason that it's out there is because Rudy Giuliani waived the privilege.
I'm not talking about Rudy Giuliani. I'm talking about you. And I don't know who's on those tapes. Only you know who is on those tapes. There's 100 of them.
The other one is also subject to an ongoing
My point is, within a matter of a second, 1 second, you took absolutely no calculation of your role as those clients' counselor, the role that plays in privacy, and in the role that plays in the solemn vow you took when you passed the bar, when you signed on to the bar, until recently were a member of the bar, and you just immediately said, if it helps me out in the today in front of TV, yes, absolutely, Mr. Chairman, you can have that. And I think, and that just goes into what we're going to talk about next briefly. We talk about these indictments on tax fraud and bank fraud as if they are isolated incidents. But they're not isolated incidents of bad judgment. These were intricate, elaborate lies that that needed to be held with constant constant deceptions of banks, businesses, associates, accountants, potentially your family. You received over $2.4 million in personal loans from Taxi Medallion Company 1. And those were loan payments for a business loan, correct?
No, sir.
You weren't receiving
those.
Okay, go ahead.
Those were payments that were made by the management company that was operating the medallions.
To you?
To me.
So, and those were deposited into your personal account, or in some instances, your wife's account?
It was deposited into the joint checking account of my wife and I, that's located at the base of the building that we reside in.
And were those disclosed on your tax returns?
They are not. They were not disclosed on my tax return.
And in fact, when your accountant talked to you about those deposits, you told him you wouldn't pay for a memo that you didn't ask to be done?
That's inaccurate.
So the sentencing court in New York has it wrong?
Okay. I don't know what Mr. Getzel wrote, my accountant. There are series of issues regarding his memo anyway, including the fact he's almost directing me in an earlier memo to commit fraud. But putting all that aside with Jeff Getzel, the answer to that is I pled guilty, all right? And I made my mistake, and I'm going, as I've said 100 times now, right? I'm not so sure why the singular attack on my taxes. If you want to look at them, I'm more than happy to show them to you.
If the chairman will give me 20 minutes, I got plenty of other things to talk about.
Every single word that's written
all right, I'm going to reclaim my time.
Is not 100% accurate. Okay?
Well, I'm done.
And that's exactly why, when it comes to the credibility, why I asked Mr. Davis and Mr. Monaco to please Let's figure out how to...
But that's my
insert
point
these
with the
documents
credibility.
So that you understand
These aren't
that the
isolated, these are
credibility
not
that I'm
isolated
trying-
incidents of attack. These were constant deceptions, whether it's rolling over a $20 million line of credit to a $14 million credit. You went through great lengths to conceal that from one bank, while at the same time, you are reducing your net income to another bank. These are things that happened on January 1 of 18, January 1 of 17, January 1 of 15. These are things that were constantly involved on a... My question is, was it exhausting keeping track of all the lies that you were telling all these people?
The gentleman's time has expired. You may...
I don't have an answer for him.